Yareli had one of the weakest launches in Warframe history, pretty much ever. She had nothing going for her, and her quest was boring for most players. But now, in Warframe 2026, she has so much going for her that players that stuck around since day one are probably touting from the high heavens that they were right all along. Yareli is a fantastic Warframe, and she's incredibly fun to use. Now, her gimmick might make some people turn away from her. Not a lot of people actually like K-drives at all. However, those that like K-drives love riding them, regardless of whether they're indoors or not. Now, her K-drive is her most divisive feature. A K-drive itself is more for open areas and anything that isn't base Warframe. Now, the first thing that people like about her, if you like it at all, is the K-drive. If you love K-drives, there's a good chance that you just love Yareli. You get to have a K-drive whenever you want, and on top of that, you can even use pistols while using it on like normal K-drives. But there is just the small problem of normal tile sets not being fit for K-drive at all. They're too small, there's too many obstacles in the way, it's just aggravating to go through. Which is why a lot of players don't like Yareli. The gimmick just isn't for her. Now, with the most divisive reason out of the way, it's pretty much all there is to it. The K-drives aren't really that good in enclosed spaces, which is what 90% of Warframe is. Let's talk about what she has going for her outside of the K-drive. She is an insanely powerful weapon platforming frame. She gives absurd amounts of weapon buffs actually. Her first ability, Sea Snare, grants a base 200% damage vulnerability to all enemies that get caught in it, and this increases with strength. 200% at base with the ability to increase is absolutely absurd. Granted, it only affects a few enemies at a time, but even then, 200% is just an absurd amount. And then if you go ahead and get the Merulina Guardian Augment mod, should you like K-drives, you can go ahead and get more reload speed and fire rate on your secondary weapons for just some more absurd DPS for your pistols. And then finally, her passive, you gain 200% critical chance for secondary weapons if you've been moving for a second and a half. So you usually thought Sea Snare, affect some enemies, move around for a second and a half, shoot them with your secondary weapon. They're just pile up insane amounts of damage, allowing you to melt their health bars even if you're not using a relatively powerful secondary. Next is her survivability. With insane weapon buffs and just damage multipliers in general, which is something everybody can love, it means nothing if she dies in 2 seconds. Luckily, Yareli doesn't do that. With Merulina, you gain 90% damage reduction. On top of that, you have insane crowd control. Dying is a chore for most Yareli builds. You have to actively focus on dying or just not playing the game in order to die. Granted, it's not invincibility like with Revenant or anything like that, but still, dying will take you some effort if you just have a decent build, because Merulina gives you 90% damage reduction, and when you summon it, you get 4 seconds of invulnerability. Next, crowd control is just so insanely useful for all forms of survivability. I mean, you stop the enemies from moving, attacking you. There's nothing else to even say. Now, in high level content, damage reduction alone isn't enough to save you, sure. The damage and vulnerability definitely helps out a lot, but if you just stand there and do nothing, there's a good chance you'll die. But if you have Merulina with lower Merulina on, she'll cast Sea Snare, which will allow you to stand relatively still doing nothing for quite a while before you die, because it'll actively crowd control enemies around you without you having to do too much of anything. Now, those are the main reasons I've found: high damage, high survivability, and players that like K-drives just liking her. But another thing I noticed, a lot of fashion frame players love her because of just her design. Now, my Yareli is basic, pretty basic. I didn't work too hard on her. I usually always just throw something together, but I've seen some beautiful Yarelis. If you go into region chat and ask for somebody's Yareli design, you'll get hit with like 40 of them, and all of them will look fantastic. To veteran players and just, I guess, pretty much any player that reaches Steel Path, for some reason they all fall into doing heavy fashion framing, and it always comes out with some beautiful designs. Yareli is one of the frames that always has a beautiful design no matter where you go. Pretty much everyone that owns a Yareli has a nice looking Yareli fashion frame. But with that being said, that's pretty much just about it. Like I said, I couldn't find anything else besides her damage, the liking K drives, survivability, and just fashion framing. But I feel like that alone is more than enough reason to like a frame. And with that being said, that's pretty much just about it. So tell me, what do you think about Yareli? Do you love her? Do you hate her? Do you wish she had something else going for her? I personally think it's a huge step up from where she was 5 years ago, so I'm perfectly a-okay with how she is now. So with that being said, until next time.